Today I'm reviewing Geiger #1 from the Ghost Machine imprint at Image Comics. So this is another in the line of titles called The Unnamed. These characters are involved in some sort of conflict called the Unknown War. Now, the title is written by Geoff Johns with art by Gary Frank. These guys are some of the best talent in comics, and seeing them doing a new book together is a welcome sight. Now, this takes place about 25 years in the future. It's a post-apocalyptic, kind of like a mix of Mad Max and kind of like a Western, like a post-apocalyptic Western, like The Man with No Name, that kind of story. So let me go ahead and read this synopsis here. So, a devoted husband and father, Tariq Geiger was stricken by a debilitating cancer. Desperate to be there for his family, Tariq fought the disease as hard as he could. When the mysterious conflict known as the Unknown War erupted and the bombs fell, Tariq was caught in the fallout and transformed into the Glowing Man. After discovering his family did not survive, this nuclear nomad walks the irradiated desert looking for any excuse to share his rage with evildoers he deems deserving. And it's 25 years in the future. And we've got survivors who live in this harsh, cutthroat world with victims and victimizers. So we've got this town here, and the town is being attacked by these kind of marauders, and they're being terrorized. And then Geiger is actually here. He's the guy reading this book. And so then they pick a fight with him. And this is the one thing about this book I don't like. They spend 2 pages on this kind of title here, this opening sort of title. This is just this is lame. This is BS. I mean, spending 2 pages on this, they're just padding the book out. But we do get a really awesome 2-page spread here. Would have been more awesome if we had actually seen the fight in these pages. So then this guy takes a kid hostage, and Geiger kills him. The book's pretty violent, pretty gory. This guy's not, he has no problem with killing. But of course, then the townsfolk, they're freaked out by him too. So he moves on. Now we've got this guy. This is the Nuclear Knight. Now, if you saw my review of the Ghost Machine #1, which I'll put a link to that up if you want to check that out. But he appeared in that book, and he was wanting to basically join up with Geiger, and Geiger didn't want him around. So then later that night, he's relaxing by the campfire, and then he realizes that the Nuclear Knight is following him. And so he confronts the knight and tells him to stop following him. And the Nuclear Knight, he wants to know, why do you keep following me? And the Nuclear Knight, we find out that he was working for some guy called the King of Las Vegas. And he makes it sound like this King of Las Vegas is kind of like a despot. And he says he did things while working for the King of Las Vegas that he's not proud of. Basically, he terrorized, victimized innocent people, probably killed innocent people. But he saw Geiger stand up for and protect a child, and he decided, I'd rather be with you. I'd rather be with you and try and do the right thing rather than being on the path that I'm on. And Geiger says, look, man, I'm not a hero. I'm not the person you want. Then these soldiers show up and attack, and they've been sent by the president, apparently. And it's not clear, what the government is. But Geiger and the Nuclear Knight fight them, mainly Geiger. And then after that, Geiger says, oh, and also the Nuclear Knight had mentioned that there was someone who had the same condition that Geiger has, being radioactive, and somehow was cured. So he says, okay, look, let's go find this person who was cured. We'll see if this story of yours is true. Well, actually, that's not yet. I'm sorry. So he tells the Nuclear Knight to get lost first. Then he has a flashback about his family from back before the war started. And then it's like the next day, I guess, and the Nuclear Knight tries to end himself. And Geiger stops him, and then he says, okay, let's go find this person who cured themselves. We'll see if this story is true. And it just kind of ends there. We do see that there's this person here who is following Geiger. We don't know who it is. I mean, overall, some of this rehashes that Ghost Machine #1 issue from a few months back. There's some of the same stuff here, because in that issue, the Nuclear Knight also tries to work with Geiger, and Geiger tells him to get lost. So it does feel kind of repetitive in that way. We don't have specifics on what happened to Geiger exactly and how he got this way, other than that he was hit with radiation from bombs. But, I mean, surely there must be something more to it than that, because why is he the only one who is like this? It is a solid first issue. I think I liked Redcoat a little better. That comic just had more of an interesting hook to it. That one was kind of like Highlander. This is, like I said, it's more like kind of a post-apocalyptic man with no name type story. He seems to have super strength, although how strong he is, it isn't clear. And again, he's got the radiation, which I don't know if you call that a power. As I've said before, I think this whole unnamed line is probably based on some kind of storyline that Geoff Johns was going to do at DC, and they turned him down. Some of the characters in this line, like the Nuclear Knight and Junkyard Joe, are clearly DC characters that have been reskinned, but I'm still intrigued enough by it. Now, there was a promotional video that was on YouTube, and in that, Brian Hitch said, "Heroes, yes. Capes, no." And he's drawing Redcoat. And I think that was to emphasize that these characters aren't superheroes in the traditional sense. They aren't crime fighters as such. They're more soldiers or characters who are put into circumstances where they need to act heroically, which is kind of funny since Geiger actually, he does have a cape, as you can see here. But, whatever. There are so few comics out there that are of any real quality on the stands these days that something with writing and art that is this good, I'm personally going to welcome it. So I did like this, and I do recommend it. So thumbs up from me on this. Johns and Frank are both tremendously talented, and I'm sure they're going to craft something that's excellent, although this thing is kind of a little slow to get going, I think. Anyway, let me know what you thought of Geiger #1 and my review in the comments. Also, please do like this video and sub to the channel. And also check out some of my other videos while you're here, and I will see you all next time. Thanks for watching.